Hello, it's March 2022, and I'm going to be briefly talking about something that I've mentioned over the years and even recent years with regards to everything being upside down backwards. And I've been focusing a lot on, for example, people being wrongfully convicted and uh, falsely accused. And this is within the authority, the establishment, when these things happen, of course. What I have been mentioning is how guilty people walk free, and we see that quite a bit within the courts and everything else. But I really want to focus on something that the channel Blackpilled by Devon Stack. He did a live stream recently about how guilty people are deemed through social justice innocent, even though they're guilty. And there are documentaries, like I've highlighted documentaries, for example, about Daniel Holtzclaw and Stephen Avery, innocent people who are serving life sentences for crimes they never committed. But we have people who are guilty, who are found guilty. And the social justice hive mind sees them as innocent. And there are documentaries about these people who are guilty committing horrific crimes that the social justice hive mind want them to be free. So we have people that should be freed, like Daniel Holtzclaw and Stephen Avery, and there's documentaries on that. But there's also documentaries about guilty people that, again, the social justice hive mind wants free for some reason. And these documentaries on these types of people are very skewed. And Devon Stack did a really good job with his last live stream with regards to, I forget what it was called, but like the satanic, ritualistic crimes. And it was pretty horrific. He gets into a lot of graphic detail. So if you do go watch that video, be prepared for that. And I'm not saying don't watch it because of the graphic details, but just be prepared, because he's focusing, at least on the first part, what these three individuals had did to these three boys and other things that they've done that kind of relate to that. Horrific. And he highlights, because of his specialty, his expertise, how the mainstream social justice hive mind documentary vilifies the parents, for example, of one of the young boys at least. And it's amazing how the social justice hive mind will ignore facts because of some sort of feelings. And he highlights a lot of details that were not presented in this particular example that he was using, that clearly show that these three individuals were absolutely guilty. And this is something that, again, I haven't really focused on. I've mentioned how guilty people walk free, and the angle that he approaches this topic on was brilliant. Now, I hadn't watched the entire live stream because it was long. It was on a different platform, and I can't mention other platforms because I have issues with certain platforms not liking that, so that's why I'm not mentioning it. But you can put two and two together. And I just really want to highlight how, again, everything's upside down backwards, where we have innocent people who are wrongfully convicted, serving life sentences, or even, you don't even have to serve life sentences, you're just convicted. And no one bats an eye. But yet, guilty people, blatantly guilty people, who are convicted, setting aside a lot of the times these people being set free by the justice system, these people who are convicted, there's outrage. And it's completely mind-numbing to think this is the world that we live in. And I'm going to segue for a moment about the new current worldwide events that's happening in Eastern Europe and the war and everything else. And there's so much conflicting information about what's happening, what's not happening, and stock footage from years ago being used to support it and everything else. I mean, what really is happening there? Only the people there know. And there's even people there going, yeah, there's nothing going on, to yes, there's something going on. It's crazy times we live in. But that's not my focus here. My focus is going to be how everyone now with the social justice hive mind are focusing on what's happening right now, and everything being so hyped up and promoted, and they're making out this the leader, the perceived leader of this country, who was a comedian actor who did a parody in his skits, being the perceived leader of that country and everything else. And there's a whole bunch of ironies, synchronicities, coincidences, or call it what you will. It's just bizarre. And everyone's focusing on this, but no one's focusing on, well, let me just stop here for a second. Every day throughout the world, there's wars, and there's atrocities. Nobody blinks an eye. I'm just going to throw some examples. I'm not taking a side with this video on right or wrong, but I just want to make some points here. When you look at the Armenian genocide, 4 million Armenians slaughtered, nobody blinked an eye. You look at what's happening in Palestine with Palestinians, you know, no one is blinking an eye. Now, I just want to say that this is not the point of the video to say right or wrong. I'm just simply using those as common examples that everyone has heard about, or at least should have heard about. No one bats an eye. When you look, for example, to the early 90s in the former Yugoslavia, which is now Croatia, Serbia, and Bosnia and everything else, no one batted an eye. It was huge what happened there. So the social justice hive mind, they don't care about real things or whatever's happening. They seem to go along with whatever the mainstream narrative highlights, promotes. And it's also kind of interesting how we're coming out of the previous, or still current, worldwide event and what was being imposed, or is kind of imposed still in some countries, in some areas, to now this, another distraction. And I've said this in previous videos and upcoming videos that are scheduled, and people are just buying into it. So this whole social justice hive mind really reflects a certain type of person or people, groups, that are all completely emotion-based, easily manipulated, and you can point them in a direction. Now, I've also highlighted, and this is mainstream, the social justice hive mind, but I've also highlighted the fact, again, in recent videos and upcoming videos, how the alternative media types are being led down with the carrot, and they're just following it. It's two different flavors, and there's flavors in between there. But going back to people who are extremely guilty and convicted, and the social justice hive mind wants them to be free. This is the world that we live in. Again, these social justice hive mind types don't stand up for or rant about innocent people who are wrongfully convicted, falsely accused. And even the alternative side, they don't really seem to care either. Anyway, I just want to throw this out, and something to think about, the world that we live in. And the more you look at the world, the more you realize, I know a lot of people use the analogy of we're living like a video game. Now, there's no alternative realities. There's no multiple dimensions or parallel worlds or all this other nonsense. Here is here. Here is real. But everything is just, as I've said, the whole world's a stage. And we just keep going from scene to scene. And everyone has a role. So I suppose in that sense, yeah, everyone is special to that degree. But their role is to fulfill as a metaphorical descriptive, the characters in the movie, the NPC types, the extras. And that's their role. They think that their role is bigger, but it's not. And there's a sliver of people that, as a descriptive, that are in between, looking at both sides and able to see the real reality and going, wow. All I can say, as I've said, is hunker down, endure and survive. This is the world that we live in. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me all the time, when is it going to get easier? When you die.